Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
There's growing concern tonight over breakthrough COVID-19 cases, where someone contracts the virus even though they're fully vaccinated. COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker takes a look at the number of confirmed cases of this in New York.
Becoming infected with COVID-19 is a scary thought for those of us who already received the shot, which is why many areas and organizations have re-implemented mask mandates. So how likely are you to actually experience a breakthrough infection? That depends on a few factors, but these types of cases are actually quite rare. More than 168 million Americans have been vaccinated. Less than 1% of that group will become infected with COVID. Now, the good news is if you're vaccinated and you are infected, you're less likely than an unvaccinated person to end up in the hospital. Now, in reality, medical experts say that was the idea behind the vaccine in the first place, to protect against severe illness and death, not necessarily to prevent illness altogether. Severe infections can lead to lung damage and organ failure, but the vaccines keep the virus from taking root in those organs. Now, across New York, there have been a little more than 11,000 breakthrough cases, but the state is not reporting any breakthrough deaths to the federal reporting system. According to the CDC, roughly 7,500 Americans have been hospitalized or have died after suffering from a breakthrough infection. But there is a lag in data reporting. So that means what's happening right now in the country as far as case numbers and breakthrough numbers are concerned won't be visible until next week. As the Delta variant continues to spread, the CDC is now recommending wearing masks in areas where cases are once again rising quickly, and Chemung County is included in that list. Reporting for Big Fox News, I'm COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker.
The new surge in COVID-19 cases due to the Delta variant is pushing hospitals to the brink. In 5 states, ICU beds are at more than 90% capacity. Students return to school in Broward County in Florida with a district-wide mask requirement in place in defiance of the governor's order. Amara Walker has more.
It's the first day of school here in Broward County, Florida, and students will be required to wear masks. The decision defying the governor's order and facing possible punishment from the Florida Department of Education.
We have districts who are picking and choosing what laws they want to follow.
A move school officials say is worth the risk.
We're also very concerned about the number of cases that are happening here within Broward. As of this morning, we only have five ICU pediatric beds available. That's it.
At least 4,700 Florida students and staff tested positive for the coronavirus in the 15 largest school districts already in session, and at least another 14,200 others are in quarantine or isolation due to the virus.
We're flying with reckless captains. We have governors who have actually issued mandates that school districts are prohibited from issuing mask mandates. We are really in a terrible situation because we don't have the appropriate response.
And the battle over wearing masks in schools isn't just in Florida. Arizona's governor is threatening to withhold funding increases for schools requiring facial coverings. It's the same in Texas, where the school mask mandate is being fought in court and where Governor Greg Abbott announced he's tested positive for COVID-19.
I have received the COVID-19 vaccine, and that may be one reason why I'm really not feeling any symptoms right now.
There's only around 300 intensive care unit beds available in all of Texas. And in Alabama, there's none available within the entire state.
We've never been here before. We are truly now in uncharted territory in terms of our ICU bed capacity. Fortunately, we still do not have an issue with ventilators.
New coronavirus infections are on the rise in at least 37 states. With the surge, masks will be necessary at outdoor concerts and sporting events, with more than 10,000 people in Los Angeles County starting tomorrow. The TSA is also extending its federal mandate requiring masks on planes, trains, and buses through January.
For the masks, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Right now, we're at a screaming level of virus transmission in the United States. We're pushing up to 150,000 new cases a day.
Most U.S. parents plan to send their kids to school for in-person learning this fall. That is according to a survey out today that the Rockefeller Foundation commissioned. It shows 89% of parents were okay with in-person school as of late July. Now that's up 5% from a similar survey in May. Only about a quarter of respondents say they know details about plans to prevent the spread of COVID-19 among young students. Health officials say all Americans will be offered COVID booster shots beginning next month. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration made that announcement today. They say people will have access to doses of COVID-19 vaccines beginning September 20th. The guidelines suggest you should get the booster shot 8 months after your second dose. The booster doses will initially be for the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Officials anticipate booster shots will likely be needed for people who initially received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as well. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is upping its forecast for COVID hospitalizations and deaths. The agency now believes up to 664,000 deaths will be reported by September 11th. So far, there have been more than 623,000 deaths. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, COVID cases among children are also increasing. Health experts had hoped to get a threshold of the population vaccinated in for the new school year, but only 50.9% of the population is fully vaccinated, and cases are once again, as you know, on the rise. Tonight, New York police are continuing their search for the suspect in a horrifying attack at a bank ATM. Police say a man, believed to be in his 50s, was using the ATM at the Chase Bank at 42 Broadway on Sunday when a man holding a hatchet entered the bank vestibule. Police say surveillance video from the bank shows the suspect attacking the victim multiple times with the hatchet. Police say the suspect then took the weapon and smashed a row of ATMs before taking off. The victim was taken to the hospital and is said to be stable. Pressure is growing on the Biden administration to make sure thousands of Americans and Afghans evacuate from Afghanistan safely. Madeline Rivera is in Washington with the latest on the rescue operations and the political fallout President Biden faces over his decision to withdraw troops.
Violence erupted in Jalalabad after protesters raised the Afghan national flag defying the Taliban. Several people were reportedly killed and more than a dozen hurt after the Taliban fired into the air and beat some of the crowd with sticks. Meanwhile, in Kabul, the Taliban are controlling checkpoints, which people must pass through in order to get around the city, making access to the airport difficult.
We are able to get thousands of people out, but we need also then to help people to get to the airport.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan insists the Biden administration intends to get all Americans out of Afghanistan. Earlier on Tuesday, he didn't say whether U.S. troops will stay past August 31st, the withdrawal deadline, to make sure all Americans and Afghan allies are evacuated.
I'm not going to comment on hypotheticals.
President Biden now facing criticism domestically and abroad. He called Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Tuesday his first conversation with a world leader since Afghanistan fell. The two are planning to hold a virtual G7 leaders meeting next week about the crisis, as lawmakers on Capitol Hill pledge to investigate U.S. withdrawal.
This is the greatest abdication of leadership that we've seen, certainly in my lifetime, by an American president and his team at the Pentagon.
The Biden administration is holding the Taliban to its promise of providing safe passage for civilians heading to the airport, but the violent demonstrations on Wednesday are likely to increase skepticism about the group's leadership. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Democrats in Congress are setting up a series of hearings on America's withdrawal from Afghanistan and the Taliban's rapid takeover of the country. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the Foreign Affairs Committee would hold a hearing early next week. Secretary of State Tony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin have been invited to testify. Senate Democrats are expected to hold hearings when they return from August recess. Rescue efforts resume in Haiti days after a 7.2 magnitude earthquake rocked the country. More help is coming from abroad as the death toll climbs. Brian Yennis has more.
Anger and frustration mounting across southwestern Haiti after Tropical Storm Grace forced a temporary pause in earthquake search and rescue efforts. Late Monday, the storm brought heavy rain to the region, causing mudslides that blocked roads. UNICEF says flooding further disrupted access to shelter, water, and other basic needs. The weather conditions left many families struggling to keep dry in makeshift shelters.
The rain fell on top of us. We slept sitting down on chairs. Nobody has come to help us.
The death toll continues to rise from Saturday's quake as rescue crews resume work. More than 1,900 people are now dead and nearly 10,000 are injured. Many hospitals are at their capacity, with some people having to wait outside in intense heat for medical treatment. The UN says it's working to get medical supplies to the region, but violent gangs in the country have impacted delivery of humanitarian aid.
Government and UN officials negotiated humanitarian access for 2 relief convoys to pass through the main road linking the capital, which had been blocked by gangs for months.
UNICEF estimates around 1.2 million people, including 540,000 children, have been impacted by the quake, but additional help is coming from abroad. The U.S. military Southern Command has moved 8 helicopters to Haiti in addition to Coast Guard boats. The U.S. Army Chinook helicopters have just landed here at Port-au-Prince. They're going to be bringing supplies and helping to bring in critically injured Haitians from rural areas back here to hospitals in Port-au-Prince. In Port-au-Prince, Brian Yennis, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight, the CDC authorizing an additional COVID vaccine dose for some who are immunocompromised.
Most of our, at-risk cancer patients have never stopped thinking about their risk of COVID-19.
Hear from one cancer patient who rolled up his sleeve for the 3rd time, hoping it will allow him to leave his house again.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. A flash flood watch is still in effect. That will be in effect until tomorrow morning as remnants of Fred crosses through the Twin Tiers. An additional 1 to 3 inches of rainfall still could be possible tonight into early tomorrow. So for your Thursday, Fred will continue to move toward the northeast, bringing the heavy rain away from our area. We should see some peaks of sunshine by the end of the day on Thursday. However, we have another system that will come through, and it could bring a few showers across our area, often on Thursday night into your Friday, and then moving toward the weekend from Friday into Saturday. Drier conditions prevail as high pressure builds in, but we do have another system coming in by early next week, and that is going to bring the rain chances back. However, it is feeling a little bit tropical outside, a little bit sticky, and it will remain a little bit sticky for tonight and also as we move into the weekend. Notice those dew points will be close to around 70 degrees by late Friday into early Saturday. So we are expecting muggy air to stick around for the rest of the week, making those temperatures feel just a little bit warmer. You definitely will need the umbrella tomorrow, especially for the first half of the day. A few spotty showers and a few thunderstorms could be possible, but with the clouds and the rain, that will keep those temperatures mainly in the 70s throughout the day. In fact, there's not a lot of fluctuation in our temperatures. 71 degrees at 7 o'clock, and then we bump it up to around 79 degrees by 5 o'clock, but there could be some peaks of sunshine. Some of those clouds will give away, and we could see a little bit of sunshine by the late afternoon into the evening hours. But overall, rain chances will continue to taper off by the end of the day on Thursday. Our future radar is showing a few showers, a few thunderstorms for tonight. As we wake up tomorrow morning for your morning commute, there could be some showers from Ornell to Bath to Corning and into Elmira. And I think the activity will really start to taper off as we head into the latter part of the day. But even with that said, look at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Our models are indicating there will be a little bit of rain to go around for some of our hometowns. But 7 o'clock in the evening, I think most of the rain will be moving away, but there's still that possibility of an isolated shower or a thunderstorm or two as we head into the latter part of your Friday. How much rain are we expecting? We've already picked up a lot. By the end of the day on Saturday, it looks like we could pick up anywhere between 1.9 inches, a little bit more over to the west near Hornell, around 2 inches, Corning around 2 inches as well in the next from now through your Saturday. So a little bit more rain to go around. Here's a look at your forecast. Lows tonight around 70 degrees, highs tomorrow around 79 in Elmira, 81 degrees in Corning. It gets hotter this weekend with highs in the mid 80s.
As the U.S. is preparing to offer COVID-19 vaccine boosters to fully vaccinated Americans, some with weakened immune systems are rolling up their sleeves for the third time. Last week, the CDC authorized an additional vaccine dose for some who are immunocompromised. And one cancer patient is hoping it will allow him to leave his house again. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
Raphael Pollock is a cancer surgeon, but he's also a cancer patient. Battling a form of leukemia, his COVID risk considered high.
After I completed my 2 vaccination shots back in February of this year, I had my antibody levels checked and they were very reactive.
But 6 months later,
I had them checked again and they were no longer detectable.
Since then, Pollock has stayed home to protect his health. But on Wednesday, he joined other patients at Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center and rolled up his sleeve a third time.
I would like to have the latitude of being able to go to the grocery store instead of depending on my children to do that, or even just take a walk in the park and not feel like I might encounter something that could be dangerous to me.
Most of our, at-risk cancer patients have never stopped thinking about their risk of COVID-19.
Dr. David Cohn, the center's chief medical officer, says an additional dose of vaccine is critical because the immunocompromised may not have gotten an adequate immune response with just 2 mRNA vaccines.
Folks with a compromised immune system have a higher risk for getting COVID or for getting severe disease if they were to become infected with COVID or dying of that infection.
Which is why Pollock is thankful for the third shot. He plans to get tested for antibodies once again in 2 weeks.
Hopefully they will show that I have responded nicely.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Confrontations over masks at an Austin, Texas school, and school wasn't even in session. The superintendent says it happened at a Meet the Teacher event. Jordan Bonnke reports.
A day before Eanes ISD returns to 100% in-person school for the first time since the start of the pandemic, families held a rally outside the administration building against the district's mask policy.
I do not want masks to be forced on my children.
Organizer Jennifer Stephen claims most families in the district are vaccinated. Those under 12 are still not eligible for the vaccine.
The whole premise of the vaccine and the mask was to keep you from dying. It's not to keep you from getting sick. Kids are going to get sick. Adults are going to get sick. We're going to get strep throat. We're going to get the flu, pneumonia. Viruses are among us. So we can't stop living, right?
The rally comes after Superintendent Dr. Tom Leonard informed the community that 2 teachers were assaulted by parents at a Meet the Teacher event yesterday.
Sad and frustrated, I think, would be the most.
He says one teacher was verbally assaulted by a parent that couldn't hear the teacher because of their face covering. And he says another teacher was physically assaulted when a parent ripped a mask off the teacher's face, a mask meant to protect them and others.
Even if you don't believe that, at least respect the person who is wearing the mask.
Dr. Leonard said the teachers involved are doing well because they're resilient, and the district is having conversations with the parents involved.
And if we have to go down some legal paths, we'll go down some legal paths.
Dr. Leonard said there won't be any student suspensions for those not wearing face coverings, and staff won't act as mask police to enforce. The district can really only encourage masks while the community is in stage 5 right now.
But they are on the front lines of teaching kids during a pandemic. Let's give them a little space and a little grace, please.
An Amazon tractor-trailer driver decided to make their own exit off an interstate in Texas, and it didn't go so well. Jeannie Most reports on the shortcut that went long.
It's enough to get a chuckle out of even an Amazon package. There on Interstate 45 headed to Dallas, an Amazon tractor-trailer cut across the grass to get out of a traffic jam caused by an accident, headed for a service road. Cami Hardman recorded the scene, which she called wild.
I was pretty amazed. I really didn't expect it to make it through, but somehow he did.
The Amazon truck wasn't the first to attempt the shortcut, and others followed the tractor trailer across the grass.
We were dying laughing. I kind of started singing the TikTok song, the Jeff Bezos one.
Jeffrey Bezos, come on Jeffrey, you can do it. Pave the way, put your back into it.
It's the song comedian-musician Bo Burnham performed in his Netflix special Inside.
Come on, Jeffrey, you can do it.
It's become an anthem for mocking Amazon's founder, creators adding it to TikTok videos showing an Amazon delivery van braving floodwaters in Michigan that sidelined other vehicles.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Or an Amazon worker delivering packages in the midst of homes damaged by a tornado outside Chicago. TikTokers reacted to the truck crossing the grass with comments like, "That next day delivery ain't no joke." Amazon itself told CNN, "Safety is our top priority, and this does not reflect the high standards we have for our transportation service providers." People kept asking Cammie, "Why are you driving on the shoulder?"
We were doing that because we were also going to follow the Amazon truck.
Which she and her boyfriend did. As one poster noted, "Looks like a normal day in Texas. We make our own exits." But in this case, it was an exit to nowhere.
The service road actually had a dead end.
So the Amazon truck ended up stuck in another traffic jam. Nothing prime about that shortcut.
Look at where you came from, look at you now.
Jeannie Mose, New York.
The housing boom may be losing steam. The National Association of Home Builders reports confidence among builders fell to a 13-month low in August. High construction costs and supply shortages appear to be weighing on the industry. Lumber prices have dropped following a record high earlier this year, but the cost of materials are still up. Also rising, the cost of single-family homes. The National Association of Realtors reported last week that the median sales price was up almost 23%. That's nearly $67,000 from last year. Robotic scientists have proven that a multi-level obstacle course is no match for a pair of robots programmed to parkour. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
Watch a pair of nimble robots absolutely crush a parkour course. Parkour is a high-intensity activity of moving rapidly across a series of obstacles made famous by countless skilled athletes on the internet and one bumbling boss on The Office. Parkour! Two Atlas robots from the scientists at Boston Dynamics showed off their ability and agility by handling a complex obstacle course with ease. The engineers say they want to build on specific movements used in parkour in hopes of giving the bounding bots the same dexterity as an adult human. Think that's shocking? Look what a lightning bolt did to a truck in an Arizona neighborhood. Richard Lang said in the middle of a monsoon, his girlfriend noticed his truck was on fire. An errant lightning strike was to blame for the flames.
This big old dent right here was where the lightning struck,
which left the truck, nicknamed the Big Purple, more black and blue. Lang, who's a mechanic, plans to try and salvage as many parts as possible, but as for the Big Purple's bolt-battered body,
I can't buff that out, so.
Finally, in Australia, shoppers were shocked by a snake that showed up in a Sydney supermarket spice section. The nearly 10-foot python was spotted literally hanging out in the spices by a shopper who also happened to be a wildlife rescuer. The woman ended up bagging up the slithering squatter and releasing it into some nearby bushland. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. An Olympic athlete's selfless act to help a young boy is not going unnoticed. Polish javelin thrower Maria Andrzejczyk posted on her social media saying she heard about an infant who needed a life-saving heart surgery and she needed to help. The power of social media strikes again. The athlete posted she was auctioning off her silver medal from the Tokyo Olympics. A Polish supermarket chain, Zabka, won the auction with a bid of $125,000. That money will allow the boy to get the surgery at Stanford University Medical Center. And to make the story a little sweeter, she says the supermarket decided to give the medal back, making it a donation to the boy's cause. Talk about gold medal winners all around in that case. From our whole team, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful night.